Kempton Park, and she joins us now for an update. Balentle, what is the latest?
Good morning, Desiree. Last week, Friday, workers started on the strike, and they were they were demanding an 8% wage increase and the scrapping of the latest announcement to retrench 944 workers. And fast track to today, there was an announcement that has just been made, a report back to be exact, by unions, just informing striking workers as to what has transpired in the meeting that has been mediated by the CCMA, and they've essentially said that they will be getting a 5.9% increase, which will come into effect as of the 1st February. However, the 2.1%, the remaining 2.1%, will be paid by SAA a bit later. This is because they are expecting to yield some form of results from the task team that's going to be established to review procurement spend at SAA. We understand that unions have been calling SAA to review its procurement spend, saying that that is the biggest driver of costs at SAA, and they've essentially said that they've managed to save SAA Technical a lot of money by really forcing them and pushing them to of their services, and they are grateful to have gotten the same opportunity at SAA, and they're saying that they are looking forward for that 2.1% to be added as an increase much later on. And they're also celebrating one other victory, which is SAA deferring retrenchments, the retrenchment of 944 workers. Right now, where our union leaders have gone back inside to try and sign that has been reached in principle. However, I have been speaking to some workers who are a little concerned that, something might just happen in there and the strike will not end today. However, there is a renewed wave of optimism and hopefulness among workers that they will be returning to work soon and an agreement will be reached very soon. It's back to you in studio.
Bali, while we have you, just give us a sense of the mood on the ground, especially those workers that the SAA reports that have gone back to work. Is this the case?
So earlier this week, we had union leaders urging workers not to return to work, saying that if they do go back to work, they weaken their plight and weaken their fight against these planned retrenchments. And essentially, they've also argued that the strike is not only about wage increases, it's also about improving governance at SOEs, and saying that workers should never ever be the casualties of mismanagement and corruption. That was at the heart of the strike. We do understand that based on an announcement that was made earlier this week by SAA during a media briefing, we understand that 200 of the 3,000 NUMSA and SACA affiliated workers did go back to work, and this is when we saw SAA resuming flights, and this was because they started having more capacity to operate these flights safely across to the different regions and internationally and the various destinations around the world. But at this stage, it seems as though the mood on the floor is one that is optimistic and hopeful that there will be an end to the strike and they'll be returning to work.
Bali, thank you so much for that update. We're now joined on the line by the head of research at Solidarity, Connie Mulder. Connie, a very good morning. Have you voiced concern after SAA informed employees? I think that line might be cut. Are you there, Connie? Connie Mulder, are you there? All right.
Yes.
We're reporting this morning that you are concerned about employees being informed that their salaries may not be paid. Has this really been relayed to employees by SAA? Can you confirm that?
Yes, it has been relayed that salaries might be paid delayed. I would say we're concerned, but unfortunately not surprised. SAA has been stumbling from financial crisis to financial crisis the last 5 years, and at some point, something had to break. That is exactly why we lodged our business rescue application yesterday, to say that the state of SAA at the moment is unsustainable. It cannot continue like this, and we need to urgently have radical external intervention to facilitate not necessarily a turnaround of the airline as it is at the moment, but an honest and frank discussion about what needs to be done, what hard choices needs to be made, and then to salvage what can still be salvaged and ensure that this airline in some form or another returns to profitability.
Are you not worried that the business rescue that you suggest the proceedings may lead to liquidation at SAA?
Well, it's the other way around. We're worried that SAA is basically heading straight to liquidation, and business rescue is at least a step to try and salvage what can be salvaged. At the moment, I think we're aware of it, and Mr. Gordon also stated repeatedly, there is no more money for bailouts. This airline cannot really continue, and he said it's not too big to fail. So liquidation is a massive worry, and then business rescue is an emergency room intervention before liquidation to say, but let's try and salvage what we can. Otherwise, it's 11,000 families who are going into this Christmas season without a salary, without a job. And that's something that we would like to stop. The second part that I think we need to understand is the South African taxpayer is going to have to foot this bill. And it's a 40 billion rand bill estimated if it goes straight into liquidation. Hopefully, with the business rescue application, we can diminish the damage to the fiscus as much as possible and try and maybe recoup some of that, or somehow just make sure that we manage the process rather than heading straight into liquidation and then having a 40 billion rand drain on the fiscus suddenly and unexpectedly.
You're employing a different strategy to NUMSA and SACA. You going this route and they're going the striking route. Wouldn't it help to come together as a unit?
Well, what you see is you see the pressure of an airline that is struggling, and the different trade unions handle it differently. With NUMSA, we have sympathy for workers who are bearing the brunt of years and years of mismanagement. I think it's important to state that the strike is not the reason SAA is in trouble. It's literally, it hasn't made an operating profit in almost 5 years. They haven't released financial statements in the last 2 years because they're not a going concern. So it's consistent, reckless mismanagement, facilitated through state capture in particular, which has led to this situation. And now there's a lot of straw on this camel's back, and it seems that the strike just put things to a head. I think all trade unions are busy. We're basically just trying to get the best for our members, as well as the best for the South African taxpayer, who inevitably will have to stand once again as the guy who's going to pay, the guy or girl who's going to pay this account. And I think it's time, and that's what we're also advocating, for taxpayers to take much more ownership of where their tax money goes. And this business rescue process is a process that facilitates just plain saying, this is enough, let's manage this. It cannot continue like this. We need a radical intervention in able to make sure that this airline flies again someday.
Connie Mulder is the head of research at Solidarity Trade Union. Thanks for talking to us this morning.